Welcome to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe, and I'm here with the co-host,
EGO.
CGO, or George. Today is the 2nd of March, 2026, and we are talking about that there's 10 English Premier League fixtures over the next 3 days, and also Real Madrid has lost 2 straight La Liga games in a row, and today was a lot of stuff to talk about in that game. Number one, there's an incident with Rudiger, who hit somebody in the head with his knee. Looked like it was it made it look like it was an accident, but we'll talk about that. There's an incident with a red card. There's a fantastic goal, and there was just it was just a good game. The Premier League games tomorrow, or we'll probably post this on the morning, so it's today. Everton, Burnley, the greatest team in England. Brentford are playing Bournemouth away. Leeds versus Sunderland. Wolves versus Liverpool. On Wednesday, we have Brighton hosting Arsenal, Man City hosting Nottingham Forest, Fulham hosting West Ham, Aston Villa hosting Chelsea, Newcastle hosting Man United, and then on Thursday, we have Tottenham versus Crystal Palace. George, let's talk Real Madrid versus Getafe first. Let's talk about the goal. This is a fantastic goal. It was just a hopeless cross heading around the box, and the guy had a great contact on it. What were your thoughts on the goal?
That's the Uruguayan forward, Martin Satriano. That was a classical goal. Yes.
So good.
So beautiful. That was a beautiful goal. It's
like
very unfortunate.
Like the Sandro Tonali hit the other day. This is the kind of strike, like you as a player, you're like, oh my gosh, I want this ball to fall right like that so I can just hit it like that. And, in your head, sometimes you envision it being at the Bernabeu and you're the underdog, So, sorry, George, go on.
Such a beautiful goal. It's very unfortunate that Real Madrid have lost 2 games back to back. This would have been an opportunity for them to close the gap they had between them and Barcelona to 1 point if they had won the game. But unfortunately for them, it's like they've given Barcelona the edge now because Barcelona is now 4 points ahead of Real Madrid, which is something very unfortunate. We know, I think a few weeks ago, they were above Barcelona, and before you knew it, they blew up the chance, and then they are trailing behind Barcelona. I don't know if they'll be able to catch up with Barcelona because Barcelona won the league last season, I think last 2 seasons as well. So if you want to displace such a team, if you want to win the title, you don't allow things like this to slip off your hands. So the way it's going, I don't know if if Real Madrid will be able to catch up with Barcelona with the kind of performances we've seen from them. Kylian Mbappe not playing today shouldn't be an excuse. Getafe is not that big of a team that you shouldn't be able to win with the kind of players that play today. So it's very unfortunate that the match ended in a loss for them. And the sad thing is that this is the first time Getafe is winning them at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium in 18 years. So that's not a good one for Real Madrid. It's a very sad one.
I mean, George, I'll say, I've felt all year, Xabi Alonso, I feel like got kicked out because he said last summer, this squad is unbalanced. We cannot let Modric leave, and if he leaves, we need to get somebody like Zubimendi in. Their midfielders are all very quality players. They're fantastic, but none of them have the ability to control a game from a passing perspective, which is an important skill. You need at least one midfielder to have that. For years, they had 2 midfielders in Kroos and Modric who could do that perfectly. Yes. Modric can still absolutely play for 30 minutes. And last year, they looked great when he was on the field, and he could only play 30 minutes once a week, 60 minutes here and there. He couldn't play 90 minutes twice a week because he's 40. But still would be, fantastic in this team. And I know Alonso specifically asked for Zubimendi, who might have already been gone to Arsenal, but they need this style of midfielder. The quality doesn't matter because games like this hang in the balance on games like that. It's 3 days after I think they have another fixture in a couple days. And it's just that type of midfielder is so important. And it's Xavi and Iniesta were the best midfield duo in the world, and they won so much than Kroos and Modric were. And you see midfielders like that. Most elite teams have a midfielder like that. So the forwards aren't great, aren't perfect. Aren't perfect, but they're good enough. The defense I felt also quite weak, but I think it's more of a function of more midfield play than it was defense.
Yeah,
Hoisin played bad.
because if you look at the midfield, you don't have that kind of quality we saw in Luka Modric and also in Toni Kroos. So the question you ask yourself, what was the guys in charge of recruitment? What were they thinking when they brought in players into Madrid? Because one thing I've always known is when you have players aging and maybe they are getting to a certain point in their career, you should be thinking about somebody that can fit in with that same style of quality. But Madrid never did that. And that's affecting them today. So I don't know if, with the way they are going, I don't know if they will even do very well, even in the Champions League. I'm very skeptical if they will even do anything
I
reasonable in the
think
Champions
I
League.
think there's enough individual quality that they can beat anybody because all of these Bellingham is absolutely one of the best midfielders in the world. He's just a guy. He's a Frank Lampard who's going to run in the box after the play's gone and score a great goal, and he can do it very consistently. But he's not a guy who's going to control a game like Luka Modric, which is what Real Madrid need. Valverde will run all over the field, but he can't control a game. I mean, and I think again, these guys are very quality players, and
They
I
are
think
good players.
and just like this is a team. I feel like they can win a knockout game because there's so much quality. But when it comes to 10 games against lesser teams, they lose more often than they should, given their quality in the team.
Because football is not all about having quality players, but you need a balance. If the balance is lacking, then that will definitely have some negative impact on the team. So what they are lacking is just the balance. But in terms of quality players, Real Madrid has the quality players, but the balance, especially in the midfield, something is really missing there. They need to do
Yeah,
something
yeah.
about that.
We'll see how that plays out. But George, back to Premier League. What is the worst fixture this match day?
When you say the worst fixture, what game can I? Because Premier League, most times I'm always very careful not to say a game is a worst fixture. Maybe the game between let's say Everton and Burnley, maybe we might say that might be a game that most people might not really pay so much interest in. And then we also have Leeds United playing Sunderland. So those are not games that a lot of people will really pay so much keen interest in because most of these teams are not really fighting for something at the top or maybe
Yeah.
trying to escape relegation because the way Burnley is, I don't think there's much they can do again for them to escape relegation. If you ask me, I feel Burnley and Wolves, they will surely surely be relegated. So we're only waiting to know which team will be the third team that will join them in getting relegated. That's the only thing. So games
I
that
agree
teams
that
like
Burnley is going to get relegated, but they have enough quality to be a spoiler. I've said again, they're better than any of the 6 teams that have gone down the last 2 years. Burnley are. They will likely finish with more points than any of the last 6 teams that went down, even though they will go down themselves. They have enough quality to be a spoiler in a title race, in a top
of
four
course,
race, in a relegation race. They can beat any of these teams in this relegation race and say, "You're going down with us. We're going to drag you down." I feel like that's really important, just mentally
they
for
did
these
that to
players.
Chelsea. They did that to Chelsea.
Yeah, they took Chelsea. They were a spoiler in the this race.
Yes, yes, yes.
It is it's very interesting. But yeah, you said Burnley, Everton, Burnley. I think the worst game, Man City, Nottingham Forest, because I don't see this game. I see zero way City drop points. I very rarely say that, but City at home is a force to be reckoned with. I do feel like they will take this game very seriously. I do feel like we're about to see a Man City go on a roll of several straight wins. Again, that's why they play the games. I think it's the most boring game. George, best fixture in your opinion?
That's Aston Villa playing against Chelsea
Okay.
because these two teams are fighting to make the top five. Definitely is going to be the biggest match for the midweek, if you ask me. Uh, it's going to be a very interesting game, and I'm sure that will be one match everybody will be paying serious attention to. The game will be played at the Villa Park. Aston Villa, they need to make sure they don't slip off the fourth position, because a loss for them in that game and a victory for Liverpool means they will have the same point with Liverpool. And that will not be a good one for them because they are just 3 points away from Liverpool. So, and if you look at the team Liverpool is playing against, they are playing against Wolves, if I'm not wrong. And I feel Liverpool has what it takes for them to get 3 points against Wolves, even though Wolves' team has really improved under Edward, their
Yeah.
coach. But if they are very serious, they take their chances and they maintain high level of concentration, I feel they can get 3 points against Wolves. But for Aston Villa, they are playing against a big team. So it's not, there's no guarantee that they're going to win that game. And Chelsea they haven't won in their last 3 Premier League games. So they would like to bounce back in this game. So Aston Villa should expect a very, very difficult game against Chelsea.
George, with experienced players, I think that 3 games, straight games of dropping points, the next game, it's more likely that they will come out and show mentality. With young players, like a young squad like Chelsea, I feel like if they go on a bad run of games, it's more likely to continue. That confidence takes longer to build in these young players, and it's a lot quicker to go away, confidence. And so I feel that Chelsea is more likely to struggle after 3 straight games, especially on the road against one of the best teams in the league. Like I said, I feel like Chelsea are most likely to miss out on Champions League out of those 5 teams. I think that this week will provide a really good or those 4 teams. I feel like this week will provide a lot good information in terms of how up for it they are.
But if you look at the Aston Villa has also not been doing very well in the Premier League. They've been struggling as well. If you look
The
at
difference, the
in their last
difference is
5 games,
George.
they've only
George,
won
the
just one
difference,
game.
the difference is George, is that Aston Villa has a better coach, much more experienced coach, who is much more experienced with everything about a title race, everything about end of the season run in, all of that. They also have much more experienced players. I think they're less talented than Chelsea, but they have much more experience. Like a 28, 29-year-old player is able to forget about the last game and be like, and get up for the next game a lot easier than a 22, 23-year-old player who's the core of Chelsea's team. And so therefore, especially at home, I feel like Aston Villa is in a better position to bounce back from a bad run of form due to experience and due to manager quality. And Rossoneri, I'm not saying he won't be a great manager for Chelsea, but as of right now, he has a lot less experience than Unai Emery, who has won more than just about any manager outside of Pep in this league. In
Well,
terms of overall career, obviously in the Premier League he hasn't won it yet.
Joe, if we are doing it by years of experience of manager, what it means is that a team like Brentford, being coached by Andrew Keith Andrew, wouldn't have gone to Villa Park and got a one-win victory, even with one man down. They got a
George,
victory.
in 90 minutes anything can happen. Like, don't get me you can't use single 1 game data points to predict this, but I can say what's most likely to happen based on everything I know about this game and everything I know about these players, and I think it's more likely that Aston Villa are able to recover from that and put on a great performance than a Chelsea team who's gotten red cards, who's been undisciplined, who has a new coach, who hasn't really seen accountability within the squad. I feel like those things are all coming back to bite Chelsea and is not indicative of a team that is going to recover form.
But this is the only loss by Liam Rosinio since he came in and in charge of Chelsea. That was his first loss in the Premier League. So we shouldn't make it look as if maybe the team has been having bad results. And the funny thing is that the 3 games he has lost since he took charge of Chelsea was against Arsenal. He lost twice against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, first and second leg, and then this is the third loss he has had in all competitions. So under his watch, the team has not really performed that too badly. The game against Aston Villa, I don't see Chelsea losing that game. The worst they can get in that game is a draw.
Okay. George, I disagree. I feel
Okay.
like, again, in 90 minutes with 2 quality teams, a lot of talent, anything can happen. I think an Aston Villa win is more likely. George, what about some of these other games? Do you agree with my assessment on Man City Nottingham Forest that I feel like this is the most likely outcome? I mean, I feel like there's 99% chance Man City wins this. I think this is. What do you think?
Oh, no, with the way Manchester City has been playing in the recent time, I think they are going to get victory against Nottingham Forest. But it's not going to come that easy
Yeah.
because Nottingham Forest is also fighting to escape the relegation, escape being relegated. So they are going to put in a very good fight, make it difficult for Manchester City. But Manchester City has the quality to get victory, especially with players like McGee and the likes of Anton Semedo playing in the attack. I feel they have what it takes to get all 3 points in that game.
Yeah, there's some other big games in the relegation race that we'll see. We'll see Leeds play Sunderland at home. That's a game that Leeds probably has hope. I mean, probably was written down as one of some of the easier, at least a draw points that they're going to see the rest of the season. We have West Ham away at Fulham, who Fulham's a team who is really safe right now and really doesn't. It probably isn't going to get into Europe. So like they might be easier than they might have been 2 months ago in terms of playing them. We have Tottenham hosting Crystal Palace, and Tottenham is the only team without a win in 2026 in this league. And I saw Tottenham play several times, and they are bad. Tottenham has been in relegation form for 2 straight years under 3 different managers. At what point do we admit this team has a relegation squad? Is my thought on that. But again, in 10 games, a lot of luck can play into it. George, which of those teams facing relegation do you feel like is most likely to pick up a win?
West Ham is the team I feel will likely pick a win, playing against Fulham. Because this guy called Somerville, he has been in very good form. Even if you watch the game against Liverpool, he was a very big threat. He tormented the Liverpool defense a lot of times. In short, for me, he was that player that stood out in the West Ham team. I feel if you can replicate that kind of performance again against Fulham, they can get a positive result against Fulham. Fulham is a team that they can get a victory against, even though Fulham has been doing very well as well. So they are all, there's no much difference in terms of quality, in terms of what each team is capable of doing. So
We'll
I
see.
feel West Ham is that team that might go to the Craven Cottage and get victory.
I think Leeds is most likely to get a result out of those 3 teams. Just I say 4, including Nottingham Forest, because they're at home. And home Tottenham's also at home. The home has been an advantage for them, but at least it's been at home, and they've picked up some points against some very good teams at home. I thought they were fantastic against Manchester City for most of the game, and probably deserved a point on Saturday or Sunday. This past weekend. So, and Sunderland's a team who I think is a candidate to check out once they've hit their safety and they're at the beach. But we'll see. That's why they play the games. All right, final questions. These are for the viewers. Which of the relegation candidates do you feel like is most likely to pick up points? Forest, Tottenham, Leeds, or West Ham? Again, there's 4 teams kind of fighting for that last relegation spot. Um, what is going wrong with Real Madrid right now? Is it the midfield balance issues that George and I talked about, or is it Mbappe not being able to play, not a pure striker, not a pure winger? Is it balance there? Obviously, that wasn't today because he didn't play. Was it Mbappe being out? Let us know your thoughts there. And which game are you most excited for? Is it Aston Villa Chelsea? Who do you think is going to win, Aston Villa or Chelsea? George thinks Chelsea. I think Aston Villa. And what is the worst game of the weekend? George says Everton Burnley. I say Nottingham Forest Man City. Thank you for listening. Let us know your thoughts.